Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Ernie Salomon-Live. On behalf of our crew and the staff here at Channel 17, Santa Barbara Channels, we'd like to welcome you. I'd like to give my special thanks, as I always do, to Fred Winter, our director, who has been with me for so many years and makes it possible for me to do this, and Allie Adamick, who's also been with me for several years, and she is handling the sound for us tonight. We appreciate your support, and we appreciate your kind comments that you give to us, and we'll continue to try to bring you quality programming that has some meaning. Our next live show is going to air on Wednesday, May the 15th. Tonight's program is going to rebroadcast in the following guaranteed time slots for the next 2 weeks. Be able to see this show on Mondays at 11 o'clock on Channel 17, Wednesdays at 7 o'clock, Fridays at 5 in the morning for those of you that don't sleep, and Sundays at 7 o'clock in the evening. You can check the Santa Barbara News Press and www.sbchannels.tv for a listing and all broadcast times of our show. We're also streaming live on Wednesday nights, and we've got a library of our shows at www.ustream.tv/channel/Ernie-Salomon. Tonight's guest is urologist Alex Koper, MD, and we're going to get to Dr. Koper in just a few minutes. Tonight we'd like to dedicate our program to the people of Boston and to the dead and wounded of Boston and to the many people that saved so many lives that day, both professional police and physicians, firemen, and all the other professionals that help, but just plain citizens that jumped in and did things like put tourniquets on people's legs and arms and saved lives. And so the people of Boston were blessed to have that kind of response to that horrendous act of the bombing. A couple of things before we talk to Dr. Koper. For those of you that want to send your kids to the UC system, the UC California system is accepting fewer students from the state of California and more students from out of state. And the chances of California high school seniors gaining admission to UC worsened this year as more of them applied were not accepted, and those that were accepted, that rate dropped by 2.2%. Over 99, almost 100,000 Californians applied to UC for freshman admission in the fall, and only 60,000 of them, or about 60.6%, were accepted by at least one of the system's 9 undergraduate campuses, and that was about 1,400 less students than they accepted last year from the state of California. This is the most important thing, and if I were a taxpayer in California, if I were a parent in California that had college kids getting ready to go to college, or even thinking about going to college, or children that are going to go to college that aren't there yet as far as the getting out of high school. Over the last few years, money-strapped UC has aggressively courted non-Californians for the extra $23,000 in annual tuition that they pay. And that trend is continuing. The statistics show UC offered freshman status to 22,761 out-of-state applicants for fall 2013, and that figure was up 21% from the year before. Of the 21,929 applicants from other states within the United States, 53.8 were accepted. So what you're seeing here is show me the money. And as a Californian, again, if you've got kids that are someday going to our system, if this keeps up, they're going to be accepting more and more out-of-state students to get more and more money, and the students that want to get in from our high schools in California are going to continue to be shortchanged. The other thing I want to talk about is the Boy Scouts, because last week the Boy Scouts of America announced that they will continue to bar gay scoutmasters in order to protect Boy Scouts from pedophiles. Here's the facts. 95% of all sex crimes, 95% of all sex crimes are committed by heterosexual men, and the other 5% of sex crimes are committed by gay men, straight and lesbian women, transvestites, cross-dressers, and by any other sexual orientation that you can think of. Heterosexual men, married, a lot of them married with children, have committed 100% all the rapes upon Boy Scouts over the years. And I feel this way: if the Boy Scouts were really sincere about protecting your children from rapists, they should hire no one but gay men to be scoutmasters. It would cut down the chances of these kids being raped down to maybe 1 or 2%. They've got it backwards, folks. So much for gay scoutmasters and the Boy Scouts. I think they're making a terrible mistake, because gay men do not commit the kind of sex crimes in nearly the numbers, probably 95 to 1, that straight guys do. Next week, our guest on the 15th will be Cecilia Rodriguez, who's the executive director of COM, and our society is about as stressed out as I've ever seen it. Broken homes, parents with jobs, multiple jobs, long commutes, irregular work hours, financial stresses, worrying about jobs, and many more, too numerous to mention. Immigrants from rural societies unable to cope with urban life, and these stresses work their way down through the family chain and find to the weakest link in the family, infants and children who receive the built-up rage. And parents are under more pressure than ever these days, which means that our community needs an organization like COM support more than ever. Their work's made possible by donations from their generous supporters who've joined COM in its mission to prevent child abuse in Santa Barbara County. And it's because of this unfailing support that COM can maintain the very highest level of service that our children and families have always received and deserved. So next week, join Cecilia Rodriguez, the executive director of COM, and me for a frank discussion on the prevention of and the battle against child abuse, Wednesday, May 15th on Channel 17 here on Ernie Salomon-Live. And now, without any further ado, I'd like to welcome a man who was voted one of America's top doctors, Dr. Alex Koper from Sansom Clinic. That's really a great thing to have happen to you. You've got to be very proud to be one of America's great doctors.
I was flattered and honored, I'll tell you.
That's great. First of all, what does a urologist do?
My kids sometimes wonder about that. But a urologist is a doctor that takes care of the urinary tract. That's the kidneys and the bladder in men and women, and the prostate and the genitals in men.
Well, we hear a lot of talk about, we're going to talk about the prostate. And first of all, I'd like to talk about what is the prostate, where is it located, and what does the prostate do?
So the prostate makes the semen. The semen nourishes the sperm. The sperm are made in the testicles, and the prostate makes the white fluid that nourishes the sperm. It's made in the prostate, and the prostate is located between the urethra and the bladder, right at the opening of the bladder.
So it's actually the place where the sperms get their nourishment.
Yes.
Okay. Now, before we talk about prostate cancer, which is in the news every so often, especially when somebody famous gets it or dies from it, I'd like to get a couple of other prostate issues that are not life-threatening off the table. And one of those is not every problem with the prostate is cancer. I'd like you to talk about prostatitis and tell us how a man can tell if he has it and what it is.
Okay, so prostatitis, you know, itis means inflammation, so prostatitis is inflammation of the prostate. And there's no correlation between prostatitis and prostate cancer. It's a totally separate thing. And in fact, some people that have, just because someone has prostatitis doesn't mean that they have or will ever get prostate cancer. So prostatitis is inflammation. It can cause swelling of the prostate. Swelling of the prostate can make it difficult to urinate and cause pain with urination, or actually make it hard to urinate.
And you're in trouble.
And you're in trouble.
And you're in trouble. Okay.
So there's different kinds of prostatitis. Some of it is just an inflammation without infection, and that's the majority of it. And there are some that are associated with infection.
Now, how does a guy know that he's got it? And then what happens when he gets it and has trouble urinating? What should he do?
Usually, prostatitis is not a subtle thing. If people have prostatitis, they have pain, they have trouble peeing, they have symptoms. Usually, prostatitis can be treated with anti-inflammatory medicine like ibuprofen and medicine to relax the muscle in the prostate like tamsulosin or Flomax. Those are the drugs that help the most. It's important to see a physician and get tested. If there is bacteria, then antibiotics can be helpful.
Are there guys that are susceptible to it that comes and goes with them all, you know, for a long period of time, years maybe?
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that have it for years, on and off, and it comes and goes. And there are some people, most people, you know, never get it. But if you do get it, some people are more prone to it, and it can be a problem.
Is there any way of avoiding it with diet or anything like that? Or?
Well, certain foods do irritate the prostate, most notably caffeine and alcohol and spicy foods. So if you have an attack of prostatitis, it's helpful to avoid those. And, you know, I don't know if you want to talk about diet, but there's a lot now about, you know, diet and prostate cancer and diet and prostate enlargement and diet and irritative symptoms of urination.
I think a lot of things that happen to us are diet, because that always comes into the fore when they're talking about this could be because, but what about there's a lot of guys biking now. What's the story with bicycle seats? Some of those bicycle seats look about as wide as 2 inches. Should guys, with their biking, what effect do narrow bicycle seats have? Should they use padded bicycle seats?
You know, bicycle riding and bicycle seats in general do not harm the prostate. There are nerves that are in the pelvis that can be squeezed or compressed by a bicycle seat. Those are the nerves that help cause erections. And there are some people that do a lot of bicycle riding that where these nerves can be compressed, and that if men have numbness in their penis or in their scrotum or in the area underneath their scrotum, then that is an indication that these nerves are being compressed by the bicycle seats.
Can it affect the ability to have children, to impregnate a woman?
No, but it can affect erections.
Well, that's the ability. Then you've got a problem. I want to talk about prostate cancer because most men think about it sooner or later. And recently, Huelhauser, who was on public television, died from prostate cancer. And the American College of Surgeons is opposed to some types of prostate cancer tests. And it's a lot like the use of mammograms for detection of breast cancer in women, that same kind of conflict. And the media every once in a while comes awash with negative information about PSA testing and biopsies. And sometimes the subject appears to a layman like me whether to test or not to test, like a Chinese fire drill. And the disinformation and disagreement leads among professionals leads to confusion. There's no way right now that you can prevent prostate cancer, and the only way to treat it